We ready? All right. We have former Commissioner Shelley Bueller in our audience. Would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. It's Thursday, June 11th, 2020. On my left is Commissioner Aaron Mays, who represents District 3, and on my right is Commissioner Kevin Cook, represents District 2, and I'm Bill Rippon, I represent District 1. What's first on the agenda?
First item is proclamation, number one, proclamations, presentations, recognition of Capital Federal and Capital Federal Foundation as the title sponsor for the Spirit of Kansas on July 4th at Lake Shawnee.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. I've got several people, I believe, here that want to speak this morning. Before we get started, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Capital Federal and the Capital Federal Foundation for their support of the Spirit of Kansas. I'm relatively new to the county and to the department. Been here just over a year now, but from what I've been told and what I understand, that this Spirit of Kansas was in desperate times back in 2002 and looked like it wasn't going to happen, and Capital Federal stepped in and saved the day, and they've been doing that for the last 19 years. So really appreciate the role they play in the Spirit of Kansas and the help that they provide. With that, I'd like to invite Kimberly Wolf with Shawnee County Parks and Rec to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Commissioners, and good morning. Like Tim said, I'm Kimberly Wolf, and I represent the Parks for All Foundation. I see to their day-to-day activities. I want to thank you for today and allowing us to come in here and recognize Capital Federal and their foundation for their continued support of Shawnee County Parks and Rec, and the Parks for All Foundation. I'm pleased to say that this year's Spirit of Kansas celebration will continue, and it will happen on July 4th out at Lake Shawnee. Capital Federal's generous donation will go to pay for this year's fireworks display. And it should go without saying that community events like this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for partners like Capital Federal and their continued commitment and dedication to our community. Now, much more than ever, this event is important. It will serve as a reminder and the encouragement that together we are Topeka and Shawnee County strong. And with saying that, I would like to take a minute to introduce a few individuals who are with me today. I have Angel Zimmerman. She is the chair of the Parks for All Foundation. I have Tom Hagan. He is the marketing and communications specialist at Capital Federal. I have Tammy Dishman with us. She is the president of the Capital Federal Foundation. And then I have John Dykes. He is the CEO of Capital Federal. I know that John has a few words that he would like to say, and after his comments, we asked that we could do a check presentation quickly and then just an opportunity for a photo. Thank you.
Tim, thank you very much. On behalf of Capital Federal and the Foundation, we're pleased to be here again for the 19th year. To help celebrate the 4th of July and the Spirit of Kansas Festival, maybe a little bit less than what it's been in the past, so I'll have to memorize a new line for the TV deal from what we've done in the past. But we're excited to be a part of it again this year. As Kim said, with all the things that have gone on this spring, I think we need a few oohs and ahs around the 4th of July. And with this donation, with the fireworks, hopefully we will all be able to celebrate and have that. So on behalf of the foundation, I will present a check to the county for $25,000 for this year's Spirit of Kansas Fireworks Festival.
Commissioner Rippon, when they do the commercial, if you need a stand-in, I'm sure that Commissioner Bueller has the script already memorized.
Okay, that's good to know.
Stand there from me. Hide the clerk. No, Jeff, don't.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. Chicken wing.
I will make sure it gets captured.
John and I did an advertisement last year for the event, and I think he did his in one take, and mine was like 27 takes. No, it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't pretty. What's next?
Next, item 2, unfinished business. Discussion on Rossville pool repairs deferred from June 8th.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. Continuation from our discussion last week, I'll open it up to the commission for questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I've asked Jim Crowell if he could give a presentation to the county commission as to the contracts, how we got historically to where we're at, and what our obligations may be from his opinion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Crowell, Shawnee County Counselor. I would also note that former County Commissioner Shelley Bueller is here and was involved in this process, so she can throw in on what happened. Based upon my review, we've had a series of contracts starting back in 2007. The initial contract was a 3-year contract, and it basically provided that Shawnee County would operate the pool facility after it was constructed by the city of Rossville. The revenues from that operation went to the county to cover costs for staff and so forth. That original contract provided that Rossville, the city of Rossville, would pay for maintenance and repairs of equipment at the facility. In 2008, we entered a new contract on December 18th, 2008, and that's the contract that we are still under today. That contract did several things, but the main things that it did was it identified that the city of Rossville would retain ownership of the pool, but it also transferred property around the pool to the county. The county would continue to receive the revenues for operation of the pool, and it switched the responsibility from the city to the county to pay for maintenance and repairs of equipment at the pool. It also provided that, under the agreement, that the county would construct a multi-purpose bathhouse / office building on the property that was transferred to the county. The term of that contract runs through December 31st, 2026. At that point in time, if there's no agreement, the city of Rossville retains ownership of the pool. We did construct the bathhouse for approximately $400 and some thousand. There you go.
$428,403.
There you go. Those are the basics of where the contracts were when they were entered and where we're at today.
Jim, throughout the history after the 2008 contract, have there been occasions where the city of Rossville and the Shawnee County shared in some of the expenses with the pool?
It's my understanding that there was a new slide structure that was put in, and there was a cost-sharing agreement between City of Rossville and Shawnee County with regard to that slide. We went ahead and paid for it, and then they paid us an amount. It looked like 2 or 3 payments over a series of 2 or 3 years.
Have we contacted the city of Rossville or met with the city of Rossville at city council to talk to them about the status of the repairs, or to see if they would be willing or able to participate in a partnership with the repairs to the pool?
I have not been directed to do that. I have not done that. I'm not aware of any contacts that might have been made by Parks and Recreation.
I have contacted him and just talked to him about we needed to do the repairs and get it going. We didn't discuss any partnership or anything like that. I do have a question about when we did the slides. Was that under the old contract or was that under the new contract?
That was under the new contract.
Contract.
And it was bonds that were taken out, certificates of participation in 2009, and the bond amount, again, was a total of $472,574, and that included the bathhouse and then also the water slide. but then the city of Rossville did share in some of the slide, because under a act change, a legislative change, the slide needed to be changed at the facility in 2009. And so, Commissioners, I'd ask Jim, again, I know that this is an item that is of importance to the city of Rossville. We have a long history of a partnership with the city of Rossville. This is a great asset to the city of Rossville and the entire county. But I think that before we rush in and do it, we should be speaking with our partners, and probably should have had this conversation previously when we knew that it was going to be approximately $50,000. This is an item that we've known about for 8 months, since July of last year, but really identifying where the leak is in the early spring. In February and March, I'm looking to Tim Laurent, who's nodding, that we knew that approximately by March, early April, that it was going to cost us about $50,000, but with the COVID, we didn't know what we were going to open, what we weren't going to open. Notice was sent to the city of Rossville City Council that there may not be a pool opening for 2020. This is something where the city council was made aware of in advance. But I think that we do have a duty to the taxpayers to go to our partner, the city of Rossville, to talk about if they are willing to participate, especially considering that the contract is close to expiration. And in 2026, the city of Rossville retains the entire pool. They regain everything in 2026 unless there's an agreement to continue further with the county Parks and Rec. So,
I have a question about and maybe this is Commissioner Bueller. Maybe this is a story question. Why does the county own around the pool, but we don't own the pool? Do you recall why it's set up that way? It just seems odd that it's.
When the improvements were made, the improvements had to be made on county property. And so to obtain that property, county property, to make those improvements was why that was done. Because the pool was constructed first with the generous donations of lots of people in Rossville. And so that pool was built, and we do have City Council member Christy McKenzie here from the city of Rossville, so that helps answer your question.
thank you.
I understand your concerns, but I'm worried about how much further we push this down the road.
Well, if we can rely on
Okay.
Tim Laurent, when we were here on Monday, David Alaker who works with the pools, and Tim Laurent had expressed to us that we were looking at a total cost or time frame for repairs of 2 to 3 weeks.
That's correct.
And that if we were to embark upon it right now, we would be open in early July. But at the current staffing levels, that we don't have enough staff to operate the Rossville pool, and that if we were to open the Rossville pool in 2 to 3 weeks, we may not have enough staff due to, just again, a late open for the pools attributed to, and again, if I'm speaking out of turn.
No, you're not speaking out of turn. I would say that we're in a situation where if we were to get the pool back up and running, obviously it would take 2.5 to 3 weeks. That's provided that we waive the purchasing policy, because this is over the amount that we would normally have to go out for an RFP. So that would add time. But if we waive that process and we contracted with, there's a couple of firms that we think could do the work that we've reached out to, that we could get it done in 2.5, 3 weeks. That would buy us a little time. We're still hiring guards and training guards, so I don't know for sure where we'd be in that time frame. But even as it stands right now, we're looking at trying to make sure that we open our 3 big aquatic centers in Topeka. And then when you start looking at our neighborhood pools, and I would classify Rossville as one of those, we might be in a situation where we only open a few of those, or we rotate. Rossville's open on Mondays and Hillcrest is open on Tuesdays. I mean, there's a lot of different plans floating around, but yes, we don't have enough guards to open all the pools right now.
And so I think, Commissioners, I would urge you to consider that before we take action, we owe it, again, to our partners to engage in that conversation. And we owe it to the taxpayers to be responsible with their tax dollars, again, to engage in that conversation with the city of Rossville. I'm not asking for an indefinite delay, but the city council does meet regularly, there should at least be that conversation between the city of Rossville and Shawnee County before we embark upon it. And I would just ask you to think about this again logically. If Shawnee County goes out and does the repairs and pays for it, why would the city of Rossville participate? It's already been done. It would be like my neighbor, putting in a new driveway and then asking me to pay for half of it. Well, it's already there. So, I think we need to talk about this as a partnership. This has been a partnership since 2007. There's a lot of trust between the city and the county for the operations. And again, that gives the Parks and Rec time to also make sure that we have proper staffing, and so that we're not, if we have the repairs but no staffing, we still don't have a pool.
Did the lifeguards from, at the Rossville pool, did most of them come from Rossville?
Yeah, they did.
Okay,
And I
so-
think the ones, that's my understanding anyway, Dave, can correct me if I'm wrong, but we had guards signed up that were gonna work at the Rossville pool. I think most of those have agreed to work at North. So if we were to take those, and again, correct me if I'm speaking out of turn, if we were to take those back and move them to Rossville, it could create an issue for opening Shawnee North. So there's some give and take there.
The next commission or city council meeting in Rossville is next Monday, is that correct? Okay. David, okay, I ask you, what are we looking at in repairs? Are we punching hole, taking out a few sections of decking and replacing some pipe, or what is the?
Currently, we are going to take out a section of decking to fix the two pipes that are broken, replace the rock, replace the concrete, and then also fix the plumbing that we've already had to tear apart to figure out what was broken, to pressurize each pipe.
Okay. Are we in any way messing with the grounding grid when we get into all this?
The basin?
Yes,
The basin of the pool, no.
okay,
At this point, no.
okay. So it's all outside
It's all
the
outside
tub
the pool
of the
area.
pool?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
But it would still fall within the property owned by the city of Rossville. The decking is part of the pool that the city of Rossville owns.
That would be his question.
I believe that is true.
Okay,
The way I understand the contract, yes.
again, I know this is a very, very sensitive subject.
Now, in the contract, it says maintenance, right? We're,
Yes, it's in the 2008 contract. I can tell you exactly where it's on page 3 of the 2008
Section
contract.
19.
when,
Paragraph 19.
when the slide was put in, when they participated, that was new, was it not? Or was that a maintenance issue?
My understanding was it was a replacement of an existing slide
That,
with a
Because
different type of
to-
slide to
We had to meet
comply-
some new standards with
Correct.
the state.
Correct.
that's correct.
I kind of see that as a new,
Yeah,
as something new to the pool rather than a maintenance issue, actually, but,
And again, we're now 10 years out, 11 years out from when that occurred. These are contracts that are 13 years old, and so I appreciate Commissioner Bueller being here. She has a lot of the background and knowledge and worked very diligently on getting the pool even in the city of Rossville. And so this is a lot of work went in from the neighborhood and the community to build the pool. And there's a lot of pride associated with the pool, and I want to make sure that we do it right.
do you feel like they don't want to fix the pool, or is
No,
it all a money issue?
I think that, again, it's a partnership, and we've not talked to our partners. And so I think that if the city council meets on Monday, again, we're not talking about an unreasonable and indefinite delay.
No. Kim? Yes.
I guess, Commissioner Cook, what are we hoping that they do at their meeting then? I mean, it seems like, you're right, we've known that the pool needed repairs for a long time. But we didn't know the extent of the repairs until relatively recently, and the estimated cost. And you're right, we also weren't really sure what was gonna happen with whether we were gonna open pools at all this summer. I mean, we've been kind of saying, yeah, we think we might, but we never know. And now we know that we are opening pools, and we also know that time is of the essence. And if we approve these repairs 2 weeks from now, they're only gonna be open for, such a short period of time, if they open at all.
So if we have our city council meeting on Monday, we would be able to have that conversation with the city council to see if there could be a cost-sharing provision where the county would maybe put out the money and pay for the expense and get the expense done. And much like in the past, if the city of Rossville had a percentage that they would be able to pay over time, because again, this is an unexpected expense for the city of Rossville, and that way they would be able to budget for it. We would also need to have a discussion with Betty Griner, our finance director, about where this money, we've not addressed where this money is going to come from. Is the money going to come from the Parks and Rec budget, or is it going to come from a contingency fund, which is what was alluded to on Monday? Ms. Griner's right in the hallway.
Oh, there she is.
Because, contingency funds are for unexpected expenses. And again, we've known for 8 months, and so doesn't this fall more under a capital outlay or a repair of that nature? And so, again, I just want to make sure that we're clear on where we're drawing from, because whatever precedent we start today, other departments will rely on in the future. So, and Betty, if you could just discuss with what contingency versus capital outlay for the Parks and Rec, and also the pools, whether or not we have requested them to be subsidized or self-sustaining.
Betty Griner, Director of Administrative Services. First of all, contingency funds, as you said, normally what I say contingency funds are for are unbudgeted and unexpected expenses. That's normally kind of our measure that we use for using contingency funds. Now, the pools have always been subsidized. Their revenue, as far as I know, have never covered their expenses. So that is always something that has been subsidized through the Parks and Rec budget.
Okay.
Were those the questions?
Those were the questions. And so if the city of Rossville did agree to participate on a percentage, would it be possible for the county to put out the expense for the money and the city of Rossville to make payments over a period of time?
Yes, absolutely. But we'd still need to know where the money was going to initially be paid out of. If it's going to be paid out of Parks and Rec operating budget, if it's going to be paid out of the Parks and Rec building maintenance fund,
And is that something that you've had an opportunity to do an analysis of as to what money is in the Parks and Rec building maintenance fund, or whether they have sufficient funds for that?
I have not.
Okay. And then also, we had money left over from excess revenue that's still not expended.
You mean the $3 million
The $3 million excess
from
revenue.
reserves that that was set aside for deferred maintenance. So this is potentially could fall within that definition,
So we could have other resources other than the contingency funds to draw from.
potentially.
Okay.
The contingency funds, you said unexpected, or what was the other?
Unbudgeted,
Unbudgeted. This would fall under unbudgeted then, probably.
yeah.
Okay.
And what was what was the 3 million? That was in the Parks and Rec reserves, or?
This was back in, I believe it was 2018. We had excess reserves, so there was 6 million excess reserves that were set aside. 3 million of that was given to Parks and Rec for deferred maintenance, and 3 million was given to the Expo Center renovation. At that time, it was the Expo Center for the Stormont Vale Event Center renovation.
And that was also, I think, Commissioner Bueller's last vote on the county commission.
Yes.
So historically speaking, on these cost-sharing agreements, for instance, the water slide and the building or whatever, what was the percentage allocation? Was it 50/50? Was it 75/25?
I'm sorry, I
Does
do
anyone
not know.
that?
I don't know. I could look that up and get back to you, but I don't know off the top of my head.
You don't have any idea on percentage?
I don't have the percentage. Again, Randy Luby may know. He was, again, the drawing on the.
Remember, I wasn't aware that they did. I thought we paid the whole thing, so.
Well, we probably did pay the whole thing initially, and then they paid back in over 3 years or something like that. I don't know, I feel like all these kids who use these pools are Shawnee County residents. They, you know, in Topeka, if you have a pool closed, there's lots of other options. There's other pools to go to. This is their only pool. This is their option. And there's not a lot of recreational facilities there. And like I say, they're all residents of this county.
I agree completely with that, Commissioner. I don't disagree one bit. But again, is it going to be an unnecessary or unreasonable to delay for us to take this up on Thursday for directing Parks and Rec and Tim Laurent, David Alaker, to go to the city council for Rossville, have that discussion with Rossville, and report back on Thursday? That also allows Betty Griner the opportunity to review the contingency funds versus excess revenue funds. It allows Tim Laurent the ability to look at the excess revenue, or also building an equipment fund as to other revenue streams that we would be able to draw from.
So if we met at their next meeting on Monday, it would be a week from today before any decisions were probably made.
We could take this back up on Thursday, a week from today.
We just lose a week.
I feel like we may need to give them something to discuss, though. And, you know, I mean, would it be out of order for us to propose a percentage today and then send it to them and say?
I would be happy if we were doing a 80-20 or a 75-25 split. I mean, recognizing, again, the resources for the city of Rossville are limited. This is not, and when we're talking about a $55,000 estimated expense, if we were to do an allocation on an 80-20 or 75-25, I would feel comfortable with that proposal.
I think I would be supportive of doing an 80-20 split, and if we passed it today and sent it to them, then they can discuss that 20% at their meeting, rather than us giving them sort of no guidance whatsoever. I'm also supportive of if we did that, we go ahead and cover that 20% so that we can get it going and then allow for reimbursement. If they agree to it at their meeting, that is. Thoughts on that?
I'm fine with that. I mean, we would have the money, and we're talking about $11,000.
Yep.
Doing my quick math on my calculator.
You are correct.
All right.
Excuse me, could I throw out a suggestion or a
Please.
comment? And this is also a question for Jim. Could you, as a commission, approve 80% of the cost? And that way, if they do approve the other 20% or whatever it is you come up with, then Parks and Rec would not have to wait till Thursday. They could immediately go ahead and get started on it. Would that be something that would be agreeable?
I'm fine with that.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But Betty, if you could, I would ask that maybe you give us an opinion as our audit finance director as to where the 80% should be drawn from.
Well, generally, it's one of those things that's kind of a hard one. Generally, this would probably be something that would come out of more the Parks and Rec Capital Outlay Fund. Now, you know, you can say it certainly was unbudgeted. Is it also unexpected? I don't know. I mean, the unexpected, you know, it was not unexpected that it needed repaired. Was it unexpected that this amount needed repaired? That I can't answer you. I can see that you could argue either way.
But when we did the Shawnee North wading pool, which was a major expense.
Yes.
And when that bid came back at much higher than what we anticipated, we had to reject the bids and rebid it to get a lower bid.
Right.
Hoping that we might have the wading pool for Shawnee North open by this season, not knowing if it would be or not. And we went for one season or two, David, without the wading pool.
One season.
So we went for a whole season without a wading pool for small children at Shawnee North, and there was a lot of people that were very disappointed and upset with the county about that. But we budgeted it and put it into our capital outlay.
Commissioner?
I think it sounds like deferred maintenance to me. I mean, if that money's there, I think this is probably the appropriate use of those funds.
We could certainly use deferred maintenance to pay for it, but I think it's important to remember why we have that deferred maintenance. Just a few weeks ago, a large section of the Shunga Trail fell into the creek. We're gonna have to find money to pay for that. We were spending, I think, $15,000 on an impeller for the pool at a Blaisdell pool. So, for every, we can certainly use this money, but then there'll be other projects that won't get done, and there's a vast list of projects.
I think that one would certainly fall under emergency. And
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes,
Yes.
that is more of an unexpected. It is unexpected that you're going to have an entire tree fall into the Shunga and the sidewalk follow
Right.
thereafter.
All right.
That was gonna be my comment. So.
Okay. Okay, so
If we could, again,
make,
I would make a motion
Okay.
that Shawnee County approve an expenditure of 80% of the repairs to the Rossville pool, drawing that from deferred maintenance or the excess.
I believe that we could take it out of either deferred maintenance or excess reserve. I believe we have, from that 3 million is what I'm
Right.
talking about.
From-
We have 80%
Right.
of, $80,000 of that hasn't been earmarked for a project, so.
From the excess reserves, and that it be presented to the Rossville City Council to participate in the remaining 20%,
And
which could,
waive the bidding process.
and waiving the bidding process.
Randy,
I
did
don't-
you have a
I was
comment?
just gonna, before you made your vote, I didn't know there's a lot of people here
I
from
was getting
Rossville
ready to say
that
that.
wanna make a comment.
Once the motion's made, before we take a vote on it, we would always take public comment.
Okay.
Okay.
So
All right.
that is waiving the bidding process, presenting it to the Rossville City Council for the remaining 20%, drawing from the excess reserves, deferred maintenance, and that the county would expend 80% to immediately embark upon the repair to the Rossville pool.
I'll second that. Okay. All right, now we have public comments, so, I know we have a couple people here, so.
Hi, good morning. I'm Christy McKenzie. I'm a member of the Rossville City Council. I am the park commissioner. There are other council members here with me also. At the last meeting, Commissioner Cook, you asked what our portion of the half-cent sales tax was. So I was curious to double-check that. And our portion in 2019 was $63,731 and a few odd cents. That money was used to pay for our pool bond that we make a payment every year, which is $93,000. So we have this year made our $94,000 pool bond payment. So we are supporting our pool, we're paying for it, it's an expense that we pay for. I'm happy to hear that you are, going to look at repairing our pool. I guess I'm frustrated that the delay is what got us to this point. That we're talking about an emergency when it isn't an emergency. It didn't have to be. We, as a council, trusted this contract. It doesn't say maintenance, it doesn't say routine maintenance, it said any maintenance. 19, I'll read it, got my glasses on. County agrees to repair any maintenance or equipment problems that occur with the operation of the facility. It doesn't say routine, it said any. And shame on us for trusting the word any. And trusting that the county would honor this contract. Is it an old contract? Yes, it is. Is it valid until 2026? Yes, it is. So we trusted, we honored, we waited, we were patient, and here we are at this point. I think it's interesting that we're willing to haggle over $11,000. In the city of Rossville, we have to talk about the $6,000 to put in wood chips for our playground that has to be maintained. $6,000, that doesn't sound like a lot of money to you guys. To us, it's a lot of money. We have to go to the community foundation to see if we can get support for that. But if it means finding $11,000, I guarantee the city of Rossville will come up with $11,000. But delay is how we got there. So shame on us for trusting this contract, that you would honor it. Because it doesn't say routine, it said any. Commissioner Cook, you have a question for me?
I do. I was going to ask, Mr. Chairman, if it's all possible to have Tim Laurent address why the word delay. There is a lot of emails that we've received and a lot of communication blaming the county and taking umbrage with the county for delay. And I would just ask that, Tim Laurent maybe address that delay and whether or not he believes, as the Parks and Rec Director, we have delayed.
Well, I guess I would like to answer it first.
Yeah, sure.
So, because I'm here at the podium.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. So, we knew the pool was leaking. The lifeguards came, it was raised by the maintenance people. What's going on? 50,000 gallons of water going in the pool every day. 9 inches dropped every day. So, we knew it was there. So, in the fall, we had a meeting with Mr. Luby and Mr. Lickert, and we met together. And we talked about it, but it's a small maintenance. We're hoping that it's in the slide area. Not for sure. We're gonna work to find this out. We said, okay, it's like, don't, if it's a small maintenance, it'll be okay. Okay, great. So then later they came out, they had a tour with the mayor and another council member, looked at it, and then really, we didn't hear anything else. And then it came out that the pools were opening. It was like, fantastic. But how can the Rossville pool be opening? You drive by and there's a pile of dirt sitting out there. So I was curious, is the Rossville pool opening? Because I'm the park commissioner, I asked the question. I was told then that it was not. The next day, people got emails who had signed up for swimming lessons for Rossville that they would not have their swimming lessons. So we had a council meeting. I asked that Commissioner Rippon be invited to our meeting. He graciously attended through Zoom, and we appreciated that. And that is my story of how this was found out as a city council member. So in our opinion, and my feeling, it has been a delay. It has been just deferred, just waited on. And we consider and blame COVID, whether the pool was going to open. And yeah, that was a question. But there wasn't a question, there was a leak. There wasn't a question, there's a pile of dirt sitting by our pool. So it's pay me now or pay me later, but it's there. And we're haggling over $11,000. Thank you.
Jim, I have a question about, on the contract, she said it says any maintenance?
That's what it says, sir.
And so how did we get from that to Rossville paying for half of a slide, or a portion of that slide?
I'm not sure.
Unless it was viewed as something new.
I'm not sure. I was unable to locate the specific details of the conversations that occurred at that
Okay.
point in time.
Thank you.
All I can tell you is that it happened.
It was there was no slide. That is the only slide. So it was a new expense. So it wasn't a repair, it was a maintenance. That is the only slide that's been at the Rossville
So it
pool.
wasn't a maintenance issue, it was a new
It was a new,
fixture.
yes,
Okay.
to bring in crowds and to add to the pool experience.
Okay. Randy?
Yeah.
you have
Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. The only other time I think the city of Rossville helped us was shortly after they opened. If you recall, there was Virginia Graham Act. I believe a little girl got her hair caught in a drain, and we had to come in and really put in some to fix the drains and all that. And I believe Rossville helped with that, if I remember, but I don't know, I don't have the figures in. That was the only time that I was aware that we may have had them come and help us with some of that cost, but.
And Commissioners, one of the examples, it's August the 10th of 2009, and there was as part of the installation of the new water slide, Parks and Rec ordered a pump, and a company was hired. The total cost to install the pump was $11,315.88. The city of Rossville paid for $2,273 over a 3-year period. And that was, City of Rossville agreed to reimburse the county for the invoices pertaining to the Virginia Graham Baker Pool and Spa Act by 3 payments of $2,273 over a 3-year period.
Once again, I don't know that that was a maintenance issue. That was something new that was mandated by the federal government. I don't see that as a breakdown or something that had to be repaired.
Yeah.
I see that as something new.
Well,
If I could speak, Commissioner Cook, you asked me to speak to the delay.
Yes.
And I would say that the biggest reason for the delay was our inability to find the leak. I mean, we didn't know until it was either late April or early May what we had, what the problem was. And so that was a month ago, essentially. So that was the biggest part. I mean, we obviously weren't trying to keep secrets from the commission or the folks in Rossville. And I think from a Parks and Recreation standpoint, you know, we want the pool to open. That's what we do. That's our job, you know, provide services to the county. So we certainly weren't dragging our feet.
Tim, was there 3 presentations to the county as we went through talking about trying to find a leak, including
least
in
2.
March?
At least 2. Yes, we've been here several times.
Didn't we also have a situation where we had awarded a bid for the contract and then it fell through? They decided they
Correct.
weren't gonna do the work and we had to rebid it?
Absolutely. Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like it's been a bit of a snake-bitten project. We've run into a lot of issues, and it was difficult to find the leak.
Are we confident that where we've located the leak, that this is going to be the final fix? Because, I mean, when we had our presentation the other day, I think it sounded to me like, well, we think this is where it's at. How confident are we?
We're fairly confident. When we pressurized each pipe, we figured out 2 out of 3 main pipes did not pass the test. What the company came in and did had a sound sensing mechanism, and they followed the piping where they thought all the way through the whole pool. When those meters went off the scale, that's an indication of where the break's at. Is it 100% proof that it is there? No, because we're underneath concrete, rock, dirt. Is it the only leak there? It's a pool, it's plumbing. That's why we're going to repressurize the whole system once we get those fixed to make sure that that is the only leaks that we indicated. As is preliminary, yes, those are the only 2 leaks in the system.
Okay, thank you.
To answer your question, we can't be 100% sure until the repairs are done, and when we start adding water.
Okay, thank you. We have anyone else that would like to speak at this time?
Hi, Commissioners. I'm Derek Flerlog. I'm part of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. I represent District 1, appointed by former Commissioner Bueller. And I grew up in St. Mary's, so I grew up in Pot County, but I just want to mention something to consider is that the St. Mary's pool is not opening this summer. And so you're likely going to see some traffic from St. Mary. And I don't know about Wamego. I know they, have built a nice facility, but you may want to take that into consideration. And I just want to ask on behalf of Rossville and that area of the county as a whole, I mean, it's not just Rossville, right? A rural community, a lot of people that, taking into consideration the financial burden from COVID, people may not be able to afford, travel to Topeka all that often. And so I would ask for, I guess what you would call a leap of faith. And I certainly respect the keeping the taxpayers on the mind. That's what it's about. But consider the surrounding communities, not just in Shawnee County. I know that's what you have to keep your mind on, but there are other communities that this pool does serve. And again, just keeping in mind that it has been a partnership. The county and the city are loyal to each other. I know that Rossville worked its tail off. There's a gentleman behind me. We're going to date ourselves here, but gosh, I was probably 10, 11, 12 when he started collecting, was it pop tabs?
Aluminum cans.
Aluminum cans, yeah. And so I really think a leap of faith would show a good relationship between the two. Thank you.
Nicholas McKenzie, member of the Shawnee County Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and one-time lifeguard and head lifeguard at the Rossville Pool, which I can speak. In 2009, I was a lifeguard, and that's when we got the new slide and the bathhouse, so that was new. and remembering back on that, we had laid in area for the slide to be put in when the pool was constructed in 2007, but changes in law came about so that they had to get a newer version of the slide is what that was about, to speak on that. But yeah, as Derek said, I started collecting cans at the age of 9, and I remember how disappointing it was every year to have to go to St. Mary's or Topeka to go to a swimming pool. And that's when myself and my friend Taylor McCullough founded the Rossville Swimming Pool Task Force to get a pool in 5 years, I believe, 4 short years. We were able to raise enough funds, get grants, get money for the pool. And since then, it's been a staple of Rossville, the community. I mean, it's been a beacon for every summer, a rite of passage for our children to come to. And with society's crisis right now, what a great time for kids to be able to look at something that they always count on to be there. A melting pot, literally, for people to be together, interact, and to enjoy their summer. And I would find it disappointing if the kids weren't able to at least enjoy part of that. And for such, it sounds like a lot of money, but in the long run, is it worth it for our kids, their safety through swimming lessons, their enjoyment, their fun? Little League isn't going to happen, not like it used to. So this is really what the kids are counting on for summer before we start another hectic school year. So anyway, I look forward to hopefully getting the pool fixed and, yeah, see what we can do.
What year did the pool open?
2007.
2007.
I think July 15th was the first day, opening day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. If you look at the $50,000 amortized sort of over that time period, that's not a lot per year. 50,000, that's a couple thousand a year. It's not that horrible. Anyone else?
And Commissioners, again, there is a motion on the floor that we would, again, start the process for the construction immediately so that we could have the Rossville pool open and hopefully allow David Alaker the opportunity to get the staffing in place so that by the time the pool is repaired, we have the staffing for the pools.
I still go back to that contract, and we do have a good partnership and good working relationship, and I think part of that's the contract. And the contract says any maintenance, and I'm not an attorney, but to me, that sounds like any maintenance, and this is a maintenance issue. And is that what it says? Is that correct?
Well, again, the county agrees to repair any maintenance or equipment problems that occur with the operation of the facility. And so, again, whether or not this is a part of that equipment and maintenance, or if this is something else. And so,
I just don't know how it can be anything else. To me, it's maintenance.
again, there's a motion, I would call,
Okay.
I would call the question, if that's the route we want to go. And if you, again, we discuss this and presenting this to the city council of Rossville.
Okay. So, did we have a second?
Yes.
Yes, you seconded it.
No, you seconded
You
it.
seconded it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm
All
not-
opposed?
I just, can we,
No.
sorry, he called the question, so.
I would like, Mr. Chairman, I would like to uncall the question if that's possible. But
Okay.
we're going to parliamentary to allow.
Let's do that.
I would withdraw that question to allow Commissioner Mays the opportunity to speak.
I just think maybe we need to talk just a little bit longer
Okay.
about it. I guess, are you unsatisfied with the 80-20 split, or, I mean, I realize it is only 11,000, and that's part of the reason why we've agreed to pay 80% is because the county obviously has more money than the city of Rossville. But I'd be interested to hear, Commissioner Rippon, if you had a stance on that. I mean, do you think that's acceptable, or?
I guess after hearing the word any maintenance, to me, we're on the hook for it. That's what it sounds like to me. And, and also hearing that the slide was something new.
However, we do have a historic partnership of a cost share on operations and expenses. So this is not outside of what we've done historically with the city of Rossville. There was also cost share with the painting of the pool. So
It seems hard to believe that we did go into cost sharing when it says we're doing any maintenance. Just because that's what we did in the past, I don't know if that, maybe that's some history, but.
I think that you have two parts. You have what the contract says, and you also have what the parties have done. And I'm looking to legal counsel, but the courts will look at it in both ways, in my opinion.
Do you have a question for me, sir?
How do the courts interpret contracts?
When there is, if the court determines, when they're trying to interpret a contract, whether a provision is ambiguous, if they decide that a provision is ambiguous, one of the methods they will use to try to determine what does it mean is to look at the course of dealing over time under the contract between the parties. So you could make the argument that if there was cost sharing on items, that is evidence of how the parties interpret that language. That would be one argument you could make.
What's the other argument?
Well, there's all sorts of what you call parole evidence. I mean, the other side can argue the language isn't ambiguous in the first place, so you don't even get to look at course of dealing or other what we call parole evidence regarding the contract.
And again, in 6 years' time, less than 6 years' time, if there's no contract negotiated with the city of Rossville, the entire operations pool, lock, stock, and barrel is turned over to the city of Rossville.
Correct. Unless the contract is renegotiated before the termination date, it will terminate on December 31st, 2026.
So in 6 years, less than 6 years' time, 5.5 years, the city of Rossville has the entire thing, unless we have a new contract with Parks and Rec.
Do a new contract, which at that point, I would think we'd spell things out a little clearer so we don't get into ambiguous situations here. I just,
And maybe that does, Jim, do we have to wait till the expiration of the contract, or can we negotiate a contract early?
We can renegotiate the contract at any time.
And that might be an item for later discussion, once we get the pool fixed.
okay. All right. I'm going to make a motion that we pay for the entire amount.
No.
No, I can't do that.
We have to vote on.
You can make an
Oh,
amendment.
I thought we did vote. I thought you pulled your.
No, I uncalled the question to allow Commissioner Mays the opportunity to speak.
Oh, okay. So we now vote.
Well, he could make an amendment.
If you want to make an amendment to the,
I would make an amendment that we pay the full amount. Do I need a second for that?
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor? Those opposed?
aye. And again, it's not that I think that we have a history of a partnership, and we have to look at historically what we've done and what we've done with the city of Rossville. So this is an amendment to the motion, and we'll still need to take a vote on the original motion after that.
Okay,
So you've amended the motion.
right.
And you voted to amend the motion. Now you need to
Okay.
vote on the new motion, which is to pay the
Full amount.
With,
All the rest is
and,
done.
and does this motion include waiving the purchasing requirements and using
Yes,
the excess?
yes. The same as the first motion, only change in the amount
The
of
cost share
cost share.
allocation to 100% county. Okay.
All right. Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon. You second
I
that?
second. Well, the original motion
Was made by me.
was made by Commissioner Cook.
And seconded by
The
you.
And seconded
Okay.
by you. I seconded your amendment, so we're back on.
Okay, so the
base.
motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
And again, I will note my opposition. I think that where we have partnerships, we should continue to go to our partnerships, and that we owe it to our taxpayers. And again, we're not talking about, we have long-standing contracts that go back decades, or a decade, and so I am opposed to the county taking on this in full as made by the amendment. And I think that we should have approached the city of Rossville and at least allowed the city of Rossville the opportunity to participate. They could have said no, and at that point, the county could have taken up the remaining 20%. But in this case, we didn't even ask the city of Rossville to participate. And I think that's a disservice to the taxpayers of the entire Shawnee County. So my opposition.
I think we have a relationship too, and it's in a contract, and it says any maintenance. What was done in the past, you know, there's some history there. I agree with that, but, you know, words mean something to me, and any means any, so.
I'd like to make an explanation as
Sure.
well. I feel like, I wish this had been handled differently. It's unfortunate. I feel like it probably would be better with a cost-sharing agreement, but unfortunately, we didn't really approach that, and I'm worried about the timeline. Although it does, you know, you said it opened July 15th. I think we should beat that date based on what we hear. So I think there's still be plenty of time for kids to play in the pool this year. And just for the sake of, you know, being expedient with this, again, and then also with the interpretation of hearing the contract, I think it probably does mean that we need to pay for it, and we don't have time to fight about it, so I think it's probably time that we just paid for it and moved on.
But Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
Commissioner Mays, the original motion was to undertake the action immediately. The cost share would have been just to ask the city of Rossville, while the work's being done, if they would be willing to participate.
But what if they said no?
Then we're still back on the hook to do the rest of it. I mean, do you think we're gonna stop turning dirt? I mean, do you think we're gonna leave it 20% undone? We would be, again, where's the harm in at least asking the partner to be a partner? So,
Well, if I may.
Yes.
So we've already voted on it.
and-
I think we just need to be aware that if anything like this comes up in the future, we'll handle it differently, please.
Yeah. I just want to expedite things. I think we're splitting hairs over $10,000, and this will expedite it. Just even a few days will help, I think, so let's get it going. Anyway. Next item.
Oh.
Oh.
So we have voted with my no
I have
being
it
noted?
down.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Next item.
Okay, item 3, the consent agenda.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item. Thank you for everyone who came out from Rossville. Thank you very much.
Item 4, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $643,806.81. The largest expenditure is from Department of Corrections, $311,641.90, of which the majority of that expenditure is with Corizon, our health care for the inmates at the jail. The next expenditure was solid waste of $80,432.50, of which the majority is $58,973.60 for refuse carts. Again, the solid waste is an enterprise fund and not taxpayer supported. Final major expenditure was with equipment, $73,550 for Clarion Woods parking lot, payment to Mary Crete. So I don't have any questions regarding the vouchers and would move for approval.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
There are no correction orders.
Okay, next item.
Item B, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-208-2020, memorandum of understanding with Cumulus Media for promotions for the July 4th Spirit of Kansas event, including the fireworks soundtrack with over $14,600 in value provided in kind to Shawnee County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. This is just a memo of understanding with Cumulus Media to be the radio sponsor for Spirit of Kansas. It's just in-kind service. They're going to provide our advertising and also do a simulcast of the fireworks show for us. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner May, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item B2, consider approval of request to award the bid to J&M Displays for the safe operation and delivery of the fireworks display in the amount of $25,000 per year for 3 years, and authorization and execution of contract C209-2020 for same.
Again, Randy Luby. This is our fireworks display company. We went out for bid for this project, and they were the only one to submit a bid. We've worked with JM Displays, I believe, for the last 10 years. They've had the same pyro technician, and we've worked great with them. They've given us everything we wanted. They know the layout. They're easy to work with, and very pleased with their work. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item B3, consider authorization and execution of consider authorization and execution of resolution, I'm thinking that doesn't look right, number 2020-34, permitting Parks and Recreation to collaborate with various county and city departments in the temporary traffic signs and barricades necessary for public safety during the Spirit of Kansas.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is just our routine traffic resolution, but it gives me a time to thank all the departments that come together to put on this event. We have Public Works, Emergency Management, the Sheriff's Department, as well as the City Police, and obviously Parks and Recreation. And we all work together for this. They come up with a traffic plan, and they tweak it a little each year. This year, obviously, 29th is closed in front of the lake, but it is open going west, where it wasn't open last year going west. So we've come up with a resolution, and we're just asking your permission for this resolution.
I'll move to approve.
Second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you,
Next.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Randy. Next item.
Item B4, consider approval and execution on the right-of-way acquisition agreements and temporary easement for 4 parcels totaling $61,379 for the Deer Creek Trail with funding from the Parks and Recreation Building Maintenance Fund and authorization and execution of contracts C-215-2023 through C-218-2020 for same.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Boyd, Parks and Recreation. We are requesting approval of the contracts for the acquisition and right-of-ways for the Deer Creek Trail project. Upon your approval, this would move that project forward to final planning and be able to submit that to KDOT to move forward with it. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item B5, consider approval of request to award the bid to T.D. Wilson for the painting of the Hillcrest Gymnasium walls and ceiling at a cost of $17,271 with funding from the 2020 Capital Improvement Fund and authorization and execution of contract C-210-2020 for same.
John Boyd, Parks and Rec again. This is a contract that we went out to bid for. This is an addition, a project at Hillcrest. We're doing renovations there, and we felt that this was a good time to do that. The commission awarded us some capital improvement monies this spring, and the contracts came back in, and this was the low bid, and we appreciate your approval.
Any questions?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
John. Next item.
Item C, Health Department, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-211-2020 with TARC to provide in-home nursing services to developmentally delayed infants and toddlers in the amount of $15,000 for a 1-year period from July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021, with funding from the federal Medicaid match and private match dollars.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. We do have an active meeting policy, so can I ask if we can stand while I present this? Thank you. So this agreement is between Shawnee County Health Department and TARC to provide services to, in our community, to developmentally delayed infants and toddlers. We've been providing this service for many years. It's an annual contract, and we anticipate will continue for many years. So there is a nurse who does provide these services. She works for the Nurse Family Partnership, so part of her time is dedicated to these children and working with TARC to assist with these kids. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about this agreement.
Any comments? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next item.
Item D, corrections, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-212-2020, a 2-year service agreement with SAMCO for the preventive maintenance of the food service equipment at the Adult Detention Center at a cost of $8,960 per year with funding from the detention budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This is just a service agreement for preventative maintenance on all the kitchen equipment at the Shawnee County Department of Corrections. We serve roughly right now about 1,200 meals that the Shawnee County has made a substantial financial investment into building a new kitchen, and going along with that is just to continue our preventative maintenance on the food service we have. We did go out and we did look for people to submit to help us, and this was the most responsive bid we could find via email and telephone. We've worked with this company before. They provide very good services, and this is something that obviously is critical to the mission that we have, preventative maintenance, so we continue our food service, which is constitutionally required by us.
Any questions?
If I may.
Yes.
Brian, the old kitchen area, and again, we're a little bit off topic, but just while we're here, in the old kitchen area, we still have some expenditures in the future that the county commission should be looking at. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. I've been working with Betty, and part of our budget request for capital outlay will be to renovate and to remodel that entire area for the mental health challenges we meet at Shawnee County. So yes, I'm going to be coming back and asking that we remodel that area, yes.
And the reason why we built the new kitchen was because of structural deficiencies in that old kitchen area.
Yes, 2 reasons. Number one, when the original jail was built and opened in 1988, it was to serve about 600, 700 meals a day, and we've well past that. We did run into a tremendous amount of physical plant problems with the plumbing, electricity. We just simply outgrew what we had. And then also, so we needed to build that. Not only was the physical plant failing, we just had to outgrow. This kitchen that we have here meets our standards, number one, and it will allow for growth for the future.
And the inmates also work in the kitchen area, which gives them skill training?
Absolutely, yes, yes. We have 2 shifts of trustees that come in there, and then a lot of these inmates have gone on to find jobs, get certificates, things like that, yes.
Again,
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item E, Information Technology, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-213-2020, a 1-year agreement with Civic Plus for the purchase of agenda management software to automate and manage meeting agendas and packets at a cost of $3,600 with funding from the 2020 Information Technology budget.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Price, Information Technology. This is requesting that we can go out with a Civic Plus for the Civic Clerk software. Be for 1 year. We're going to give it a try and see if it streamlines the agendas and packets as we hope, to where it will make it simpler for commissioners and the public to locate items within the packets.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mark, all right, boil it down for me just as the layperson on the street. when I pull up the commission agenda right now, I pull up a PDF that it may be 200 pages long. So if I want to find a specific contract or item, I have to go through the entire thing in order to find it. What is this going to do?
This will actually give you a couple ways you can look at it. When you pull up that PDF, it will give you a table of contents. So you can say, I want to look at item C5. You click on item C5, it takes you right to item C5. Instead of scrolling through the 200 pages to find that item, there's a kind of displays in a couple different ways. Another way it would display it is gives you the agenda, the one 2-page agenda, and there it will have links to the items for that agenda. So if you want to see the memo, you can click on the memo. If you want to see, like in this one where it gives you the actual contract, you would click and it would take you directly to that contract.
So at the commission meetings, I like having the full paper documents here, because there's times where we look at a word such as any, and we want to be able to look at the word such as any, and being able to pull that up could be cumbersome. And this is going to streamline that, so instead of bringing in the full packet, I could use that on my laptop.
Yeah, you could bring it in your laptop, a tablet, basically any internet-connected device. You could even do it on a phone if you wanted to. Or you still can print off the whole packet if you'd like the whole packet because you like paper.
All right, what about the archived agendas? I mean, this last weekend, I spent several hours of my life going through and trying to find contracts from 2007, 2008, and 2009 regarding a pool. With this software, is that going to speed up that process?
It has the ability to. Currently, we are just trying to see if it fits into our process and is a workable solution. If it does meet our needs, we do have the ability to take all of our existing agendas and bring them into that system, and it would OCR them. So you could, if it was a readable OCR'd item, you could search for contract or Rossville pool, and it would bring up anything that had Rossville pool in it.
And that could be a great asset to the county clerk's office, because the county clerk has people that are dedicated just to look up things that a commissioner may ask for, the public may ask for.
But we don't use the same system you do. I mean, we have a different system than that, so I mean, ours is, because when we take our information back to our office, we put it in a different format, and so we have all our contracts in one system and all of our resolutions in one system.
But if we move that way, the public.
It's gonna be great for the public, you have to go on there, because they go online and then they can't find it, and then they call us, so we won't get that call. That's even better.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but you and I had talked before, and
Yes.
you had mentioned that this is also going to help moving information from one department head to the other when building the agenda as well. Is that still the case?
Correct, yes. It basically would take the agenda submittal process, all electronic, to where when I submitted an item, this one has a contract that I need approved by Jim's office. I would create the item in the software. I would tag Jim's office as a person who needs to review it. It would then go to him. He would be able to approve it. It would track that approval all within the system. When Susie's looking to see where this item is, she could see it was stuck with Jim's office because Jim was out golfing and not paying attention. And then it
Playing
would,
basketball.
then she would be able to tell where that item is within the process. And when it gets to her, she could basically approve it and it goes into the agenda.
Jim would be looking for that word any, I'm sure.
That's the whole thing.
Okay.
Well, I think this is long overdue, and I would move for its approval.
Second.
Yeah, I think this will help streamline things. I think it'll be better for the public. Okay, we have who made the motion?
I did.
Motion.
seconded.
Motion's been made by Commissioner May, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Is anybody here from next item?
Item F, Sheriff's Office, number 1, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Hill regarding the agreement with Mercury Wireless, contract C214-2020, to incorporate 3 separate contracts, C383-2015, C269-2016, and C101-2012, into one antenna-based lease agreement and request to place additional equipment on the Southeast Shawnee County Tower, with rent increasing to $1,700 per month for Northwest Rossville, Berta, Southeast Cook, and Southwest Valencia sites, with all rental revenue to be created, or to be credited to the 911 Maintenance and Repairs Fund.
Is there anyone here from the Sheriff's Department?
No, there's not.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
would acknowledge receipt of the correspondence, noting that it is just, noting the increase in tower rent, and also just for the record, as discussed at the original approval, the Southeast Cook site has no relation to me. It is a completely separate individual, and again, just for public disclosure.
And this is Jim Kraus, Shawnee County Counselor. This contract did go through my office. We worked with them on it and reviewed and approved it.
I will second the acknowledgement. Is that a motion, or do we?
There was a motion to
Okay.
acknowledge receipt.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Jim. And next item.
Administrative communications.
Okay, at this time, if there's anyone that'd like to speak from the public on any subject, or if we have department heads that'd like to make announcements, this is your time. Randy, there's nothing from Parks and Rec. Okay. Commissioner Cook, do you have any?
I don't. Thank you.
Mr. Mays?
No.
I don't either. So, anyway, next item, executive session. We do have a need to go into executive session, so I'd like to make the motion to go into executive session for a period not to exceed 15 minutes for the following reasons: to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel, specifically to discuss the hiring of a candidate for an open classified position. No action is expected at this time, so.
I would second, but then also noting, just for the public, immediately when we return, we will be adjourning the county commission meeting and commencing the Board of Health meeting. So if you are here for the Board of Health, wait around 15 minutes.
Okay.
So that is a second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. We are in executive session. So.
Thank you.
Sensitive about that.
go back in session without Mr. Cook here for a second?
You can, if that's fine.
Okay, we are back in session. No action is taken at this time, so our county commission meeting is adjourned, and we will now start our,
Wait, give us a minute to.
you got to
We'll
switch.
change our cards.
Yeah, I was just going to announce that we're going to